the 3rd round pick, Alex Highsmith. We talked about him out of Charlotte. I like this pick a lot. I was a little, when I looked into him more, because you know me being a defensive guy, edge guy, I'm like, I really want to check this guy out. Definitely productive, man. Really great hand usage. I think Coach Simon talks about that. And in terms of his rush plan, I was able to see some of the clips, the different moves that he uses. He has a spin move. He has a speed rush, dip under. I definitely liked all of those things. I was a little concerned with his productivity in the sense of this last season, he had 14 and a half sacks. That's all he talked about. But up until then, he had no more than like 3 sacks in a season. And that was the part that concerned me. And then when I looked at the tape and checked the stats of who he was getting the sacks against, he had 4.5 sacks his last game of the year against ODU. And I was like, dang, so that took him from...
Dude, why you got to look that up, man?
Well, because I told you, it's layers to this thing. It's like how you said, I looked at us on 4-4 and was like, yo, this guy's really good. I'm like, you cut the tape on, tape doesn't say 4-4. So for me, I'm like, let me look at the tape. Let me see, okay, is he a consistent 14, 9s, 10 sack season guy? Or was this like one of those crazy type years, which we've seen? Because that's the same knock that people put on Bud Dupree, right? Oh, he only did it because it's contract year. Did he only do this because it was a draft year? It's serious. It's funny, right? People want to
kind of savvy.
People pick and choose when they want to make that argument. So I'm just like, hey, man, if we keeping the same energy, let's keep the same energy here then. So my man had 14 and a half that last season. I'm just like, all right.
I mean, you would have thought, though, for your freshman, sophomore, and junior season, though, he went 3rd round. I mean, you want to ball out all those seasons, right?
You would
try to get in the second or first round.
Hey, Bud Dupree won the first round. You trying to get the extra contract. You want to ball out every year, right?
Kinda, but
not kinda.
I mean,
no. That's the argument. You want to ball out every year because you're gonna make more money.
I think it's different.
You might get extended earlier.
That contract, though.
What you mean?
Versus like the rookie contract.
What do you mean?
I mean, you can literally make that big ass contract just from that 1 year, though.
Not necessarily, because he got franchise tag. We're talking about Bud, right?
Right. I mean, that's the rules of the NFL. Though. That's kind of screwing the players.
No, not even that. I'm saying that Bud would have had the type of season that TJ's been having, right? We're talking about TJ getting extended before he even gets the 5th year option. Okay. That's the difference, because TJ's already produced.
Yeah.
So he's going to get paid on the front end. He's not going to have to worry about a tag.
I get what you're saying.
Whereas Bud, because it took to that last year, now he gets the franchise tag. So, yeah, the incentive is for you to ball out early on if we're going that route. What you're trying to say in terms of when you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, you want to try to produce and get those numbers early because it's going to help you with the draft.
I mean, it is. I mean, it would be better to do it just like your junior, senior year.
Yeah,
I mean,
or you do it your first 3 years and you leave early.
That's true, too. Who's making?
I'm just saying.
I'm not making that excuse. It's a funny thing.
I just wanted to bring it to the attention. You know me. I just like to present facts. And that's it, because
the hypocrisy.
Because exactly,
it's funny.
I'm not a fan of hypocrites, and people are quick to get on Bud. And man, it was only because he did it a contract year, and that's going to be the argument that people are going to talk about this season when they're like, "Hey, man, we're not worried about what Bud does because we already got his replacement right here. This guy, man, he's better than Bud anyway. We know we're going to hear all this, right?" But I just want people to remember, when y'all talk about Bud only did it for that 1 year. Just know that this guy, Alex, I don't even know the guy yet. And I'm a fan of it.
He had the 4 sacks in the last game.
4.5. Not even 4.5 sacks in the last game. And I was like, wow. All right, cool. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But when I really looked, like I said, when I watched his tape, though, in terms of like the sacks that he was getting, I did like the style of them. They weren't the cheapy dude holding the ball for 5 second sacks. No. Like when he was getting the sacks, he was kicking, but he was cooking. So I did like that. That was the part that made me really excited about him, because I said, man, I've seen guys get great like sack numbers, but they really didn't do anything to get the sack. I mean, it was a guy that I played with in Buffalo, and then he actually went to the Jets. I think he had 1 sack his whole time in Buffalo. Goes to the Jets, he gets 6 sacks in 1 season. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And I'm watching the tape. Man, he got a sack one time. The quarterback held the ball for 5 seconds. Quarterback scrambled to the right, scrambled back to the left, ran out of bounds. He was close, got turned to a full sack round. It was that type of stuff. But then you look on the stats. Oh, 6 sacks.
And he got a nice contract after that?
No, he didn't. But the talk was he had 6 sacks. They like really hyped it up. Like, yo, y'all lost, man. Look what this dude is doing. I'm like, y'all are crazy. If you pay him, you're a fool. So that's why I always like to just see the quality of the sack and how they went about getting them.
Oh, you could tell his sacks.
Yeah, they were definitely legit, man. So that was a big thing. And I also like his size too. I mean, he's not an undersized pass rusher. He's a grown man in terms of his build, his framework. Same body type as a Bud Dupree in terms of like that 6'3", 250, 255 type body build. So I definitely like that a lot about him. And I think, man, when we talked about the need for outside linebacker, it was TJ Watt, Bud Dupree. And then from there, you have Ola Adeniyi, who's dealt with injuries. He's shown potential in preseason games, but he's dealt with a ton of injuries.
Yeah, we haven't seen him.
And then Tazar Skipper, who was the preseason darling, but that really hasn't produced anything in the regular season. Yeah, I think he had a sack with the Giants. But even then, they still were, open to releasing him. Yeah, and then we brought him back. So for me, if you're the Steelers, you release Anthony Chickler, who's been your third outside rusher and special teams guy for the past couple of seasons now. How do you replace that? And I think that this was a great pickup because not only do you bring in a higher pedigree guy, because we talk about Ola, we talk about Tazar, they weren't high first round draft picks, second round draft picks. So when you bring in a guy like Alex, that's going to ultimately bring a high pedigree guy and a guy that you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with, a guy that you can groom, but a guy who has those intangibles that you can't coach, that size, the speed, the hand usage, the vision, all that type of stuff. So the fact that he already has that, that's a huge plus, but it also brings that competition into that room.
Yeah.
Because Ola's a guy that's hungry. Ola wants to be the guy. Ola has proven in some of these preseason games that he's capable. But the biggest knock on him is the health element of it. So now it's going to challenge him to step his game up even more. But in turn, it's going to challenge Alex to make Alex a better player because they're not going to just make Alex a third rusher just because where he got drafted. Everybody know in Pittsburgh, that's not how they operate. They don't care. I mean, I feel like Pittsburgh's the only place where they'll have first rounders running down on kickoff. Like I remember seeing Ryan Shazier, first round draft pick, covering kicks. I'm like, this is nuts. Like anywhere else, that does not happen. Still, they don't care. You got to earn it. So in that regard, it's going to make all those guys in that room push each other that much more. And I think that's going to be more beneficial to that team. So I definitely like that a lot, man.
No, for sure. Long term, like we said, if Bud doesn't sign, you potentially have a replacement there. And then right now, he could be the spell linebacker that could come in, depending on the competition, right? Because any of those three could beat
between
each other
Ola,
out.
Tazar, and Alex. Absolutely.
So here's my thing. I mean, do you have a butt with that though? Because there was a lot of like positivity. Is there anything
I told you my initial butt was the fact that
just competition?
No. My initial butt was only for the fact that Alex didn't have the same type of productivity those first 3 years.
Okay.
Anytime I see 1 year crazy spike, like if it was he went from 4 sacks to 9 sacks, that's still not crazy. That's like, okay, that's still realistic. To go from 4 sacks to 14 and a half, that's nuts. Like, whoa.
Hey, it could be a late bloomer.
And even with Bud, like people talk crazy about Bud going from 7 sacks to 10 sacks as if that was a 10 sack increase. Like, think about how they talk about this year compared to last year.
Yeah, well,
think about it.
You watched the tape, and you've told me this before that year before this last one actually wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
It was actually really good.
It could have been a legit 10-sack season when you look at how everything was playing out with these rushes, the wins he was getting. But they looked at that jump as if that was the craziest. Oh my God, he went. It was a 3-sack increase, 3, and we're like, that's it. Like this dude, a 10-sack increase, and that was my biggest thing. I'm just like, that makes me a little nervous, but I'm banking on the side of he's hitting his stride now because
late bloomer, yeah.
Call it what you want to call it.
That's what I'm calling it.
Call it what you want to call it. I look at it like this though, man. As a player, you want to get better each year. As a player, you want to understand more each year. You want to get a more developed rush plan. Now, I didn't have access to any of his junior, sophomore tape to see what was the difference in his style of play.
Got you.
Because then you could compare and contrast. Like for me, that's why when we talk about Bud, I'm not surprised by the sacks that he had this year because I was like, well, if you looked at the year before, it was already in that direction. Could this be a similar situation? I don't know because I wasn't able to see that. So that's something that I would be interested to see, like, okay, how has that development went? But I'm always going to err on the side of, you know what? I think he's going to be heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that this is more going to be the norm for him. Not saying that he's going to come in next year and have 10 sacks because the NFL level is crazy. It's hard to do that. It's a reason why 10 sacks is the benchmark because a lot of people cannot get to it. It's tough to do. But with this guy, I can definitely see him coming in and getting 3-4 sacks, man. Like just off of his rushing ability alone, the situations that he's going to potentially be put in. Because when you're coming to spell these guys, you're fresh. You're the change up. So a lot of times you might get catch a guy off guard. You're going to have more tape on that tackle than that tackle's going to have on you. We talk about how the backup, the guy who comes in second, always has the upper hand because they don't study the backup. They study in the starter. So when you come in, I know everything about you. I'm ready for this. So I'm definitely thinking that he can have an impact in that role. And that's why I definitely like that a lot in terms of him coming in and being that pick.
I did too. And you know what I'm going to bring up right here?
Oh, here we go.
Dabo Swinney, champion.
I did see that, yeah.
Champion coach for Clemson.
Oh, now we hyping up Dabo?
He's got some credentials.
All right, okay.
He's got some credentials.
Okay, here we go.
Wouldn't we say?
Here we go.
Number 2 head coach in the college football ranks.
Number 2?
Yeah, after Nick Saban. That's a pretty good accolade right there. So he says they just so happened to play Charlotte last year. And he says about Highsmith.
And they played him at it was a week 5, I think it was. So they already had a couple of teams. They had some opponents. Just putting in context.
They probably have the best player that we've seen to this point in that number 5, Highsmith. I kept watching him and going, holy cow. He also said he's physical and fast. He's causing sacks and tips. They had a pick 6 against UMass that he caused and created, but he's a really, really good football player. But he could play for anyone in the country.
Yeah.
High praise right there.
And then also one of the starting tackles for Clemson said that he has the fastest first step he ever saw.
So what's there not to like? I mean, you were giving him some nice praise there. Yeah. I'm seeing it from Dabo Swinney too.
Absolutely.
You can watch the tape, and you, like you said, his sacks they're commanding. It's not like you said the quarterback's just leaning into him and he's just barely getting them or running out of bounds, anything like that. Like he's really getting these sacks. Yeah. So I like the pick. It was a fit. It was something we needed. So I'm definitely good with it.
A+?
You know what? I'll give it an A-.
What?
A-, B+, maybe.
What?
I mean, you brought up the competition. Maybe that's something to consider. But I really like the pick.
Clemson.
I really like the pick.
A-, B+.
I'll go A-. I gotta average this out to an A at the end.
What?
I guess I could just say everyone's an A. That'll
if you
equal an A.
gave Chase an A, how do you not give Alex that?
I like my offense, man.
Oh my gosh.
I like weapons for Ben.
Oh my gosh.
What are you giving this one then?
Alex, he's an A.
He's an A.
That's an A pick. Okay. Because you don't have to tell me what he ran. You don't have to try to sell me on any other intangible. Man. I can cut the tape on and I see him kicking butt. When we talked about Chase Claypool, when we cut his tape on initially, we all talked about it how we first watched you like, dang, for real? This the pick? We're all looking like, is this a joke?
What do you mean?
I'm saying when they first announced Chase Claypool as the pick, you go online.
I saw the tape and I was like, damn, this guy's a good receiver. What do you mean?
Bro?
Dude, some of his catches
Cut it out,
sick.
bro. Cut it out.
No
Cut
way.
it out, bro. Stop it.
What do you mean?
Stop it. You're not about to sit up here and try to do that, bro. Because for his fat. Okay, you okay, well then you're the only one in all the Steel Nation that was like that then. Because everyone else was like, yo, for real? This the receiver? This is crazy.
Me and Colbert know what's up.
Yeah, all right. So you're funny. You're funny.
We got an eye for talent.
But you know how I can tell you lying? Because you said it yourself. Man, I ain't really see, him running fast. And then they say 4.4 and I'm like, oh, he does look faster. You know what? Hey, man, he does look good. All right. I like. So it's cool. It's cool.
Nope.
The more you go telling yourself, the more you telling it yourself. It's cool, bro.
Because the catches. That's cool. All I needed to see was the catches and what he was doing with the ball.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the speed.
And what did he?
Because Des Bryant doesn't have the speed. And you can tell he's an elite receiver.
What did you see him doing with the ball?
No, he's making insane catches.
Okay.
That's what I was seeing.
Okay.
I saw 1,000 yards. I saw 66 receptions, double-digit touchdowns.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing.
Hey, whatever you say, Deke.
I'm good with that.
Whatever you say, Deke. Whatever.